Hello and welcome to this edition of Community Chat. I'm Brianna Anderson from the Public Information Office. Today we're going to be talking about barbecue safety. So as you go out this summer, how not to make your family sick when you're barbecuing. Here joining me today to help tell this story and give you some tips on what to do and what not to do is Lucas Tafoya, who is our Food Inspections Manager, and Mr. Matt Kroskien, who is our Health Educator. So gentlemen, thank you both so much for being here to start it off. And
very welcome.
Thanks. Let's talk about the to-dos and don'ts when it comes to cooking on the grill and how you can not make other ones sick.
Great. It's very important to kind of think of how do we keep people healthy. And the preparation of food is so important to keep people healthy. One do that anybody preparing food needs to think about is separation. How do we separate raw meats from raw veggies? Raw meats have bacteria on them. Just know that they do. Raw veggies also can have bacteria, and after you wash the veggies, it's very important to just always think of separation. Keep meats and veggies separated before they get cooked.
Okay, to-do number one.
Do number one, keep separated. Number two, washing of the hands.
Cleanliness.
Frequently washing your hands. After you touch some raw meat, after you're touching vegetables, when you're going back and forth between foods, you can't wash your hands too much. Always wash them. And it's also the technique of washing. You need to open your fingers, wash between your fingers, have something to clean your nails. It's amazing how much bacteria can hide in your nails.
Grossing me
even if you have short nails like I do. When you have longer nails, even more of an issue.
Why'd you look at my nails? They're not that long. There's not bacteria growing
I wasn't
under
inferring
them.
anything, Brianna.
Okay, to-do number three.
Do number three, use a clean plate after you've cooked your food. When you're taking your food from the kitchen out to the grill, we often put it on a plate. Don't use that same plate when you're taking your food off the grill, so do use a different plate.
Or
you can wash the plate, of course.
You're all about cleanliness.
All about cleanliness.
Make sure you clean
the
plate.
That's right. Clean the plate, get a new plate.
Okay, our three don'ts.
So don'ts. Don't use the same utensils. If you're preparing your meat, you probably have to cut something. Common error is to use that same knife and then to cut some vegetables without washing it. So don't use the same utensil. If you can have two different knives in your kitchen and using one knife for preparing meats, another knife for vegetables, that's always best. Using different, so don't use the same utensils.
What about spatula? You need to make sure you have two different spatulas?
If you can, always perfect. Or make sure that it's clean. You have to clean it frequently.
I'd love to see you grill. Do you have like a carpenter's belt of like different spatulas, veggies on this side, meat on this side?
Fastest draw in the West.
Nice. Another thing that you should probably have in your carpenter's belt is a clean cutting board.
Clean cutting boards, yes. A great way to do it is to have two separate cutting boards. So don't use, if we're doing the don't
Still on number two.
Still on number two for don't, using the same cutting board for preparing my hamburger patties on one cutting board, and then on the same cutting board, cutting my vegetables, cutting that lettuce. Don't. Use two separate cutting boards. In our house, to make it easy, we like to have one, and we actually label it at the bottom. This is only for meats. This is only for vegetables. There's no confusion.
You can color code them.
Color code them, absolutely. Different shapes and sizes. Go to your artistic delight. But have two different cutting boards and know that this is always used for meats. It still needs to be washed, but then there's less risk if you separate them out. Again, the separation.
Okay, and number three.
And number three.
Don'ts.
Once you've cooked that food, you're having your barbecue, you're having fun with friends and family, don't leave the food out too long. Sometimes we think it's cooked, and then it's outside or in our living room for hours because people are still munching. You really have to think about the time and keep food after it's been out for a certain time, say 2 hours, put it back in the fridge. Then you can reheat it and have some leftovers, things of that nature. But after it's cooked the first time, you really don't want to have it out too long because that's when things get dangerous.
Pop it in the fridge.
Pop it in the fridge.
So bottom line kind of sounds like you got to be prepared. When you're going to the grill, you need to know your do's, know your don'ts. before you even light the flame, you need to have some preparation techniques that you've used before you go to the grill.
Sure.
Now, let's say you're starting to cook. It's done. How do you tell if it's really done? Is it done?
Well, you can't tell by just looking at it.
Common misnomer, probably.
Common misnomer. You really want to take the temperature of it. Use a thermometer. There's different types of thermometers out there, and there's a wide range of thermometers. Some are going to take the temperature right at the tip of the food, and you can take the temperature of really thin food items like that, thin hamburger patty or chicken patty or something like that. But some of these other thermometers have temperature where you're going to have to measure it right in the middle of it, and so it's going to take some probing in there. And you want to get up to 165 degrees for chicken and about 155 for ground beef. That's usually most of the stuff that we're grilling out there.
There's a great website that's very easy to remember all of the temperatures and different meats. isitdoneyet.gov.
How convenient.
isitdoneyet.gov. Easy to remember. You pop on there on the internet when you're surfing, and you can find all the temperatures of the different meats that you need to cook to.
And just to clarify, when we have these thermometers, because I have one at home, and something I didn't realize is that you have to get it up to like a certain indentation point on the thermometer if it doesn't measure it at the tip. So how do you know, like when you're looking at your thermometer, will it show you, or can you like point out how far do I have to stick it in?
This one has a little bump in the middle of it, and it's actually about 1.5 inches up from the tip of the probe, and you have to get that right in the middle of the food. Otherwise, you're not getting an accurate temperature. Now, this one has, the red tip, and you can just drop that in anywhere. But this one, you got to get right in the middle of the meat. So if you're doing that chicken breast, you just kind of slide it in sideways and get it in right in the middle of the meat to get an accurate temperature.
You can find thermometers at many different stores, from grocery stores to high-end gourmet food places. You'll have complicated thermometers, other very simple ones. But whenever you have a thermometer with an arrow, not a digital one, but has an arrow, just look for that bump or indentation. That's where the temperature reads.
Okay, and folks, no using the thermometer you used on your spouse
That
last
probably
winter
wouldn't be a good idea.
when they had a cold. Not good. Won't work.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you want to get a thermometer that has a good wide range. 0 to 220 degrees is a good range for a thermometer, because you can check the cold temperatures in the refrigerator, making sure that things are cold. And then also, you have warming temperatures, hot cooking temperatures and stuff. So there's a wide range of temperatures on these types of thermometers. Now, there's other types of thermometers that are just for like candies and oils that are just in the hundreds and hundreds of degree range. You don't really need that, and it's just way too much information on a thermometer to try and really accurately read.
Yeah, probably not practical.
Not practical.
Our normal barbecuers.
If you're getting a thermometer for the first time, if you're not used to taking temperatures of your food, wherever you are, you can always ask. Look, the thermometer that you need will be labeled probably a food thermometer. If you're at another store, simply ask, what thermometer do I need to measure food? They'll know.
Point you in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Aisle 5. Okay, so once you've prepared and eaten the food and hopefully, knock on wood, not gotten any contaminations from the bacteria, let's say the food is still on the table, and we talked about this a little bit, people are munching. When do you need to pry it out of their munching hands and put it back in the fridge?
I always love to pry hands out of my 6-year-old. It's quite an adventure.
Yeah, I bet. It gets everywhere.
Absolutely. A good time frame to think about is 2 hours. The raw meats start with bacteria, and the reason for cooking it to temperature is to kill all of that bacteria. Once it's safe to eat, up to temperature, and people are eating and enjoying the picnic, after 2 hours, you need to wrap everything up and put it in the fridge. Even if folks want to still keep eating, cool it down, and then you can warm it up again to temperature. But when foods cool down a little bit, and we often talk about a temperature danger zone, when it cools down below those temperatures, bacteria love that food.
Nom, nom, nom. Bad. Okay.
And what started out as something very insignificant in 2 hours can easily get somebody sick.
Now, heaven forbid, they're not listening to us, because you guys are the experts. I know.
Not listening.
I don't even want to
Brianna.
think about it. I don't even want to think about it. But let's just say, hypothetically, they're not. They get sick. What are some of the symptoms, Lucas, that people would show if they have gotten the bacteria?
the major symptoms are going to be vomiting and diarrhea. They can get much more severe than that, but you don't want to kill your party that way by getting your friends and family sick.
That's a quick buzz pill.
Yeah, definitely. And they can get much more severe, but generally, if you do get sick, you want to just stay hydrated, and if they do get severe, you want to get to your doctor and get checked out. If it's something that you think that you may not have gotten sick from the party, but the barbecue, maybe it was a restaurant, you may want to call your local environmental health authority to report that so they can investigate it.
Very good. Now, they could call us if it's in the unincorporated areas of Bernalillo County?
Yes.
Okay. What's our number?
314-0310.
Good job. That
Wow.
was off the cuff.
Impressive.
Wasn't
Right
on the
there.
script. Just very good. So now let's say we've packed over the leftovers. We're a
Yes.
responsible host or hostess.
I'm sure you are, Brianna.
I'm
I'm
good.
very.
Yes. My big thing is just making sure drinks are filled.
Well, that's important.
Prior to the 2-hour time period, is it safe to reheat this food after you've thrown it in the fridge?
Absolutely. You can reheat it. Again, a temperature to remember is 165 degrees. Anytime you're reheating something, you should get it up to 165 degrees. And you can use a microwave, you can use stovetop, whatever you need. But 165 degrees is the good temperature for reheat.
When I grew up, a common food group was called leftovers.
Yeah.
Always eat them. But it's important, just like when you first cook it, take the temp, because you can't tell by looking at it. When you're reheating, get it up to temperature.
Now, we keep reiterating this. You can't tell by looking at them. I'm thinking there's a lot of men out there who, and maybe I'm wrong, but they don't like to look at maps. So now we're asking them to let their thermometer give them directions. Yes, so this could be your cheating device. You don't have to trust your eyes to know if it's cooked to the right temperature. You just stick a thermometer in it. Wives, don't judge. You know,
I've even noticed my wife respects me in a new way because I am the informed scientist. I take my thermometer and I stick it right in there, and I know I'm not going to have to deal with her sick in bed or my kid dealing with going to the doctor 12 hours later.
Yeah.
So that's always a nice
Good
feeling.
dad.
But I can look sophisticated, and
seriously, I'm waiting for you to come in with your cooking belt.
I'll bring it in next time.
Okay.
Utility belt, yeah.
Yes, I know, and he's
Sure.
got everything in there. That's your hammer, your most used tool. So for directions when we're cooking, we know not to use the spatula, but there's probably, or not cross-contaminate with your spatula, there's probably some other true-false here. So audience, feel free to play along. Let's see if we can cut you guys off and get the right answer here. My cutting bacteria can grow, or my cutting board can grow bacteria, true or false?
That's true.
True.
Whoa.
Yuck.
Well, if there's bacteria on there, it can continue to grow. As long as you had food on there, and like Matt was talking about, you've got your 2 separate cutting boards, one for the vegetables, one for the meat. After you're done preparing that meat, and you have that plenty of food still sitting on there for the bacteria to grow, all that protein, and it's nice and wet, and it can actually, if it's a wood cutting board, get kind of drawn into the fibers of the wood and be there for a while.
My wood cutting board for me. It's so sad. So you just got to make sure you got your elbow grease in there a little bit. Make sure you get
Hot soapy water does wonders to get rid of bacteria. Bacteria it's lazy. It doesn't want to hang around when it's not wanted, but you got to make the conditions around it uncomfortable.
Okay. You brought up soap. Perfect. True or false? Should you wash your vegetables with soap?
No way. That's false, because you're just introducing soap into your food, and that's going to be a taste issue, and you just don't want to taste that. Just cold running water, rinse it off. That's all you need to do for vegetables.
Got it. Okay. Another true-false question. Most bacteria accumulates on meat.
Bacteria can come from many sources,
So
not
false again.
just from meat. Bacteria is always on us, and Matt
Speak
talked
for yourself.
I know. My nails are clean.
Oh yeah, let's pull out the petri dish and check Yeah, your hands are always going to have bacteria on it. You're not going to be totally free of bacteria. Vegetables, produce coming from, it's out in the fields, it's growing out in the soil, it's going to have bacteria on it, and so is the meat. So it's just about, like Matt was saying, keeping things separate, cooking the temperatures, making bacteria uncomfortable so that they don't spoil the party.
And in fact, for the viewers who are very cautious about current activities, if you look up in the past couple of years, the food-borne illnesses that have been of concern in the media, a lot of them have come from vegetables, spinach, other lettuces. They don't always come from meat that we think of. That's really always where the bacteria comes from. It can come from vegetables.
And I
So
love
everybody's
my
thinking
spinach. Wash your
right.
spinach.
Everybody's thinking cook that meat, but the bacteria can be in the vegetables as well. Yeah.
Very good to know. Now, my favorite saying, which you guys are about to pop my balloon, I can just feel it. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah, that's false. Well, a healthy adult, and if they get a dose of some pathogen that's going to make them sick, they're going to recover from it usually pretty well. But we have a lot of our family that is highly susceptible to illness, and elderly, very young. Those folks are, if they get a dose of pathogens that would make you and I sick for a day or two, it's going to put them down seriously for a long time and could affect the rest of their life. So you really want to prepare your food for highly susceptible family members. Just be very careful that you don't want to get them sick.
And when you say pathogen, we're just meaning a germ.
Bugs.
Germs, bugs, right? And it's really important that normally we know our family pretty well. We know who's got a strong system, if anybody's dealing with a cold or might be sick, but especially when we're having friends over to the house that we may not know exactly what is going on in the past week. They might be sick and just not telling you as a cook. That's why it's real important to really be as cautious as you can. If people come into your house for a summer picnic, you don't want to know that, ooh, geez, because I wasn't prepared, people are getting sick from my cooking. That's really a way to have a bad reputation.
Yeah, so we have given our audience a lot of information on how to be a good host.
Absolutely.
Maybe some
Keep
good
your drinks full.
food etiquette, as well as barbecue safety. So thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us today, and hopefully this helps our viewing audience as they are out barbecuing this season. And if you guys want to stay tuned, throughout on GovTV, we're going to have a barbecue segment that Matt actually went out and did.
Yes.
Oh, you both did it. Okay.
Yes.
Well,
Can't you tell we're upcoming movie stars?
I know. Can I have your autograph now?
You certainly can.
Preemptive measure. Okay. So they went out into the field and did some barbecue safety tips for us, and you can watch that right here. So thank you so much for joining us this season. Hope that you have a wonderful, safe barbecue safety summer. Thanks.
Okay, guys, lunch is ready.
Oh, Dad, this isn't even cooked. Oh, gross.
I don't think that anyone would intentionally serve something so undercooked and obviously dangerous to their friends or family. Hi, Matt Kroskian with Bernalillo County Environmental Health. The problem with most foodborne illnesses is that they're caused by something not nearly as obvious as this situation. Many of us will be having barbecues throughout the summer. Let's look at some easy ways to keep everyone healthy.
Almost everything you'll ever hear to avoid getting people sick, including yourself, by properly preparing and cooking food comes down to two words: temperature and cleanliness. Any cook needs to know about the temperature danger zone. It's called the danger zone because bacteria love it, and we want to stay out of it. You need to keep cold foods cold and hot foods hot. Below 40 degrees and above 140 degrees, food stays safe. When food enters the danger zone, and that quickly happens on a hot New Mexico day, our favorite foods can quickly become dangerous to eat. If you need to defrost something before you grill it, don't just plop it on the countertop and let it sit for a few hours or more. Your food could easily enter the temperature danger zone, whether it's hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken, or my favorite, baby back ribs. You need to put it in the refrigerator to thaw for a few hours or more. Defrost meats in the microwave only if you're going to cook it right away. Once the meat is thawed and ready for marinade,
Leaving it on the countertop for a long period of time is just asking for trouble. If you like to marinate foods like I do for more than a few minutes, keep that plate in the fridge and out of the temperature danger zone. Even if you are a proud carnivore, I hope you'll choose some fresh veggies for the menu. If you need to cut the meat before you grill it, a common error is to use the same cutting board and knife without washing it to cut your veggies. If you don't clean the cutting board, the knife, or your hands, you risk transferring the bacteria from the raw meat onto your raw veggies. You need to clean the cutting board and the knife with hot soapy water before cutting the fresh veggies. Or you can use a new cutting board and knife altogether. The point is cleanliness. Keep raw meats and raw veggies separated and wash your hands between touching meats and veggies. Now it's grilling time. All cooks need to understand the temperature danger zone. All meats need to be cooked to certain temperatures to ensure that they are safe for folks to eat. Looking at the meat is not enough. There are many kinds of good thermometers, some simple, some more complicated. For a great website that illustrates proper temperatures to cook all kinds of things, go to isitdoneyet.gov. Once everything is cooked to temperature, it's time to call the gang and eat. As you take the meat off the grill, you need clean tongs and you need a new platter. Putting the cooked meat on the same platter without washing it puts bacteria back on the meat you so carefully cooked. Another way is to use a paper plate for the raw meats and toss the plate once the food is on the grill. All the food is on the table and it's time to enjoy. Be sure that everyone eats right away. As food sits out on the table and cools off, we are back to the danger zone, and that chicken or hamburger or baby back rib can become dangerous to eat. So eat it when it's fresh off the grill, or put it back in the fridge until you are ready to eat. By remembering two simple words, cleanliness and temperature, if anyone does get sick, you'll know it's not because of your cooking. This is Matt wishing you a fun and safe grilling season.